6:36, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. Let's get right to the Newsmaker Hotline and say good morning to our friend EJ Haust. EJ, how are you?
Good morning. Feeling good? Every day better than the last?
It does seem like that, doesn't it? I mean, for all the haranguing that we're hearing from the Democrats, I mean, I don't know if anybody really is paying them really any attention. I want to start off, though. I was talking earlier, EJ, and you and I have spoken about how Donald Trump going on all of the various podcasts was a really important thing for the president, because he was able to, in my opinion, convert a lot of voters by going on Joe Rogan's podcast along with many others. And so there's a new book out. I was just explaining this before the break. There is a new book out that basically is accusing Joe Rogan of changing the deal after Kamala Harris had agreed to appear on the podcast. And Rogan, I played the audio a few minutes ago, Rogan is saying, no, absolutely not. They had never agreed to a deal. They were in negotiations, and we all know that for Kamala Harris, she didn't really want to go on the podcast. But this is part of what he's had to say. This is part of what he had to say.
You talked to, what's that guy's name, Brett Breyer?
Yeah.
Where they cut that off after 20 minutes. When they did that, that's when I was like, look, it's got to be in the studio. It's got to be in the studio, and it's got to be real. It's got to be a real conversation.
You and I both know, and by the way, it's Brett Baer, but I thought that was kind of funny. It's clear that Kamala Harris couldn't have handled it. Now, I believe that is old news, which is why I'm not really focused too much on this, except to say that, have we seen the last of Kamala Harris or not? Because it seems like there is this big move within the Democrat Party and the media to try to resurrect her very tattered reputation.
There's actually a lawmaker out in California who was supposed to be running for running for governor of the state.
Yes.
I can't name who it is. I don't know who. He's actually just pulled out to give Kamala Harris a chance.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not.
So, EJ, I mean, thank you, Joan. EJ, that is clear that they are... Why are they putting so much faith in Kamala Harris? Did they not learn?
I don't think they have faith in her at all, actually. I think this is all kind of a way too early in the campaign cycle to make any decisions or really kind of put names out there that is meaningful. However, the 60 Minutes interview was also released, the full raw 60 Minutes interview, right, where we know it was all edited and whatever. The only reason to do that would be to embarrass her. Now, I mean, imagine you're the author of this book and you think you're taking down, Joe Rogan. Give me a break. That's not going to happen.
Right.
I don't know what their purpose was, but I don't think that Kamala has the pull that, like, her team, her sycophants think she has. We're definitely done with her. We've moved on. I mean, imagine being a Democrat and waking up every single day thinking that yesterday was the worst day ever, right? Like, It can't get any worse than that. They're screeching like barn owls out there. And then they wake up and Trump is like, welcome to today, where we're going to do 4 more things you hate.
Yep.
And they can't wrap their heads around it. So this book will come out. The 60 Minutes thing will come out. All this Joe Rogan, they're looking for something to talk about, some sort of a message that resonates. Last night, the Democrats were trying to hold the Senate floor for 30 hours in a silly little tactic to delay this vote for Ross Vaught. But it's connected because basically what they're doing is looking for something that will stick, that will rally their masses. And in this Ross Vaught thing, they think they can resurrect some Project 2025 narrative. They can't. It won't work. All of these tactics, the book, the 60 Minutes thing, all of it, none of it is resonating with people. We're just done with all of that. And I think the Democrat Party is in big trouble for a long time.
Well, I mean, he's doing things, Donald Trump is doing things that make sense. I know that this particular story is near and dear to your heart. I'm sure that you've seen this on the socials.
If you'd like to gather around me, I think I'm going to be okay. Come on.
And Donald Trump, and you can see this on my X feed at Dan Manda's show, he's signing the executive order banning trans men or trans women or basically men playing on the female sports teams. And he's now banned that. And he's surrounded by a bunch of girls.
Watch what I do, and then I'm going to give you some pens, okay?
And it is so sweet. And
it is. It's adorable.
It is
so
great.
Kind and real. I loved it. Beautiful.
And one of the things that I mean, this is just another one of those topics, one of those issues that makes sense. And for Donald Trump, I think there's a couple of things that are going on. Number one is that he is doing the right thing, and, you know, promises made, promises kept. There is that aspect of it. But the other thing that he's doing, and maybe I'm a little cynical on politics, but he's also cultivating a future voting bloc. Because I think that part of what he's doing is he's going to earn the vote of female voters.
Yeah, I heard someone say, you know, his first term was playing checkers. He didn't quite realize the magnitude of the hate for him and the people who would work against him behind the scenes and all the things. And this time he's playing chess. He's playing the long game. He's really looking 3, 4, 5, 10 steps ahead. And so I think that's a good analogy. He learned from the first administration. And now this time he's saying, you know what? How do we make sure America is secure forever? He won't be alive anymore, or certainly in politics anymore, when some of those very young girls are of voting age, right?
Yep.
So this isn't about him. It's about securing America for future generations. I thought yesterday was so powerful because it showed, hey, not just I'm looking out for, you know, U.S. taxpayers and things like that. I'm looking out for real live human girls in America. And looking out for their futures and giving them more opportunities, making sure that their opportunities aren't stolen from them. I had the very immense pleasure of meeting Riley Gaines a couple of weeks ago. And I will tell you, when you hear her speak, she is strong, she is forceful, she's wonderful, like in front of that microphone. What she also is, when you meet her in person, is soft and kind and feminine. And I think this movement, it's not just about the sports, and it's not just about strong women. It's also about bringing back femininity, bringing back, it's okay to be women. Women are different. Females are different for a reason, and we can embrace and love that.
Yeah, and Trump actually, you saw last night, and I played it earlier, that he turned around and he actually thanked her for doing what she did for women of the next many, many generations. And so one of the big questions, of course, will it stand up in court? I think obviously if it goes all the way to the Supreme Court, I think that it will stand at the Supreme Court level.
I think it should. You know, it's funny, you hear people on the other side saying, well, it's only like 10 people, right? Like, they're like, oh, this is such a minor issue. Why do they care so much? I would flip it back on them and say, yeah, if it's such a minor issue, you think it only affects 10 people? Those 10 people, those 10 men who took away scholarships, titles, opportunities, team spots, captain roles, whatever it is,
scholarships
from those women, yes. That's real hardship. That's emotional hardship that those 10 people put on, what, threefold, fourfold, tenfold of women and girls that they came in contact with over the years, not to mention the physical injury in some of these sports. So, you know, give me a break. If it's only 10 people, let them figure it out. We're so sorry that you're abnormal and that you've got something wrong with you. I feel for you. I do, because clearly something is not right. So, but that's, unfortunately, everybody's got something. Some people have peanut allergies. They'll never enjoy a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I'm sorry to say it. We're not making different, you know, accommodations because you can't have peanut butter for the rest of your life. That's just silly. So we're in this kind of weird, everybody has to be accommodated, when the majority of people, and vast majority, really, millions and millions of girls are out there playing sports, and they should not ever fear that they will have to face a man as they get older and into college sports. So if we don't stop it now, imagine what it would be in 10 years.
645, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. EJ Haust is joining us. Real quick, going to ask you a couple of things about, number one, Donald Trump's new press secretary. She is kicking butt and taking names. EJ Haust is joining us. EJ, let's talk about Caroline Leavitt. She is doing an amazing 27 years old. And she is taking on the media like they are just nothing. She is wiping the floor with them.
Oh my gosh, in just the most beautiful ways. I mean, really, I have a real job, so I don't get the chance to watch TV during the day very much. But I make a point. I mean, I'm up late every night trying to figure out what she said, what Trump said. Was there a press briefing today? All of it. And she's wonderful. I think what's interesting about her is, she'll come out with like one piece of paper. It's not a giant binder.
Do you know, I said yesterday, I did a segment on Matt Murphy's show, and I don't even see her looking down. Like, do you remember Corinne Jean-Pierre? She had a big book. It was like a phone book of answers, and I called them the big book of lies. And she was always looking down. And okay, so we're going to talk about illegal immigration. Let me flip through my pages to find that. And Caroline Leavitt doesn't have to do that.
No, she doesn't. And it's new and interesting every time. So every answer she's giving sounds like this authentic, uncanned, right response. Like it's not it's not something that's been rehearsed and memorized. She's just answering your questions, but she's doing it in a way that is throwing it all back in their faces. When she mentioned the Politico thing yesterday, Politico got money from USAID and supposedly couldn't make their payments. And, a bunch of things were exposed about this kind of abuse of USAID dollars related to Politico. And when she says what's going on, she's like, Politico, who has a seat in this room, right? So she's literally looking at the reporter from Politico saying, yeah, we caught you. And by the way, everybody else in this room is on notice too. So maybe you guys want to clean up your books a little bit. Like it was just a thing of beauty. And 27 years old. I mean, yeah, she's a 10.
What's interesting about Politico, and you have your background in journalism, and you've hosted talk shows and everything else, so you know this world like I do. And so, were you shocked to hear that USAID, they were actually buying all of these subscriptions for people in the FDA, hundreds of thousands of dollars, basically subsidizing Politico? And it seems to me the accusation would be that if it's a quid pro quo kind of a thing, then they're going to target Donald Trump with negative coverage.
Yeah, I think it's way deeper than that. So yes, my assessment so far, and obviously I'm just reading what everybody else is. I'm following the data. There's some really good X accounts out there that have the links, right? So it's all coming from cited sources, like government sources, actual budgets, things like that. So just be careful about where you're getting your information on all this stuff, because there are definitely some people who are bloviating and making things up and kind of making it more than it is on some cases. But did Politico surprise me? No. What will surprise me is if every other news organization is not also on the take somehow, especially as it relates to reporting in foreign countries. So we can laugh about Sesame Street and the DEI stuff in Serbia and all of that. Obviously, pointing out the absurdity of it is really important to gain the media attention, to gain the attention of the American people. But I think it's deeper than that. No one gets this upset about, finding fraud and abuse,
right? Finding,
absurd payments and whatnot, unless they are somehow tied to it. And I think our politicians, I think our media organizations, I think our shadow government types have made promises around the world. I think they've made promises to people that are, in the millions of dollars. Are you,
EJ, are you possibly referring to...
No one elected Elon Musk to nothing. That's right.
Are you possibly referring to Elizabeth Warren?
It's too early in the morning for that voice.
Well, listen, I played those in the 5 o'clock hour. And I'll play them again.
I can't. Oof, yeah, I mute the TV when I see her face coming up. But I'll tell you, yes, I think these people have they're scared of something else.
Yeah.
I think they've made promises. I think the entire Democrat machine is coming down. And I think we should prepare ourselves, because we've got some bad actors on the Republican side also. Might be a little early to call that out. We need some votes and whatnot. And I think there's some negotiation happening. But I think this is deeper than we're just scratching the surface, I guess, is my point.
All right, EJ, how can folks follow you on Twitter? X.
Yeah, please find me on X at EJ under the radar.
All right. We'll talk to you next time. Always great to have EJ's input. It is 6:52 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Always great perspective from EJ Haust.